In this short video, I just want to explain briefly how to add bogies to a carriage. Now, I'm assuming you know how to make the meshes, that is the body of the carriage and also the separate meshes for the bogies, but I will have a look at one of those in just a moment. And this happens to be in GWR E38 Compo first third with a side corridor. You can just about make out the side corridor there, and the doors are not in. The doors have already been moved to a separate file to allow them to be so that they'll be animated and will open. And we've got a number of attachment points here, and they're the most crucial in this whole process of attaching bogies to a carriage. First of all, I've got a doors attachment point over here. As you can see, it's set at all the zeros, and so it gives a point from which all the doors can be attached. And then the other thing, of course, is apart from the attachment points which show the limit of the mesh at the front and over at the back here, and indeed any other attachments here, the principal attachments, the seating, all of there. You can see there for all the passengers, so those are all things like passenger sit number 07 there, and over here number 35. But bogies, here we are, bogie 0 and bogie 1. That's the two bogies that are going to sit underneath the carriage. Let's have a top down view, have a look, and let's just so this course is all in Gmax. I hope you're appreciating that right from the start. And if we just have a look here, bogie 0 is always on the looking top down onto the carriage, is always down the bottom here, and bogie number 1 is at the top there. And those are the two attachment points. All the others are relating to the doors and the passengers, and indeed anything else that you want to attached to the carriage. So those are the two bogie points. Now let's have a look at so that's the body of the carriage. That's what you've got to end up with those two clear attachment points. Now for the actual bogies themselves, which form a separate file and which are dependent, they're a dependency for the carriage. So this is the carriage, and then you'll have the doors, etc., and that all bound into the one folder, which is then installed into trains. But the bogies are always separate models, separate items, which you require as a dependency for your carriage. So you only need to make one bogie, of course. And let's just, scenes change. Do you want to say view changes? No, because we're not going to change anything there. And I just want to have a look at some time since I looked at this, so please bear with me if I get the bogie wrong. I'm looking down here just to try and find the correct bogie to go with these. I'm sure they're listed here, but you can see here all the different components that together created together form the, I don't think I'm going to find them there. So let's have a quick look in our list of trains projects, and this comes up under GWR standard gauge, and just scroll down carriages, and now so I'm looking at this list basically here, type, and it appears that I've not got the bogie models actually in this folder. Sometime since I've done anything on bogies. There we are. Let's have a look at that. That looks like, yeah, that's my collection of different bogies which I've modelled, and I just pick out the bogie that I want. So what we'll do is we'll go up here to standard gauge, and there's those bogies, and let's just have a look at one bogie just to give you an idea. So this is, I made these 7 years ago by the looks of it, 2018. So there we are. 3'7" mansell. We want something more than that, don't we? Here we are. So this is more the type of bogey that you'll be wanting to make to fit under your carriage. So let's have a look here, and here we have the bogey modelled from plans. So let's just make that a bit larger, and essentially what I've done here, using those plans, which I'll just hide, get those out of the way, let's just hide those, and what I've done here is to create, first of all, two very simple wheel sets. There's the first wheel set and the second wheel set, and they're grouped together, and each wheel set is linked to a oh dear, forgot the names of them now. There we are, dummy, an animated dummy. So let's just go a top-down view. So if we look at the animated dummies, they're centered on those axles, and those are equidistant from the 0 mark. And so I'm assuming you know how to make this mesh. So we've got two axle sets. Each of those are, if I just ungroup them a minute, and if we have a look here and we display, we've got that's BR axle O2, and then all of these items are attached to that dummy, and that gives us our, I've used this here, our attachment, select and linking. I've linked all of these to that particular dummy, and then I've rotated that dummy, and let's have a quick look there. A look at the rotating. There we are. They're rotating, and this is where you do the rotating. In the top-down view, you always have it so that the dummy rotates through 360 degrees through your however many frames you've set the animation to. So let's just stop that, take it back to the beginning, and if we enlarge this so we get the 3/4 view, you can see, there we are. Well, that's all well and good. That seems fine, but then how do we attach these? Well, what we need to do here, and that's why I chose a bogey which, although it had been modelled, it wasn't exactly set up yet. And you'll see, by the way, that it's below the horizontal there, because what we now need to do to get this onto our carriage is we need to create another dummy, and we'll call this one BR main, and we'll position it at the 3 zeros, X, Y, Z, 0, 0, 0. There we are, and it puts it right in the middle. There it is, in the middle of our bogey, and that is the same, this distance between the 0 line and the top of the wheel is exactly right for placing it inside onto the carriage. And so we've got another grouping there. We want to ungroup everything basically, and let's just check. We've still got a lot of groups there, look, so we'll select those and ungroup them, and then let's just check if we've got any left. Oh yes, groups within groups, so we'll select those and ungroup them. And any more for any more? No, that's it. Now if we look at the subtree, we've got axle O2, axle O1 BR, and then we've got BR main, and then we've got all these. Well, first thing to do is to take all of these, so sorry, what I should say is that each of these, all of these items, let's just highlight them for a moment, all of those meshes constitute one of the wheel sets, and because they're indented in this selection box, they are linked to BR axle O2, and you do the same with the other one, BR axle O1. So in other words, whatever happens to BR axle O2, it's going to happen to all the things that are linked to it as well. Well, that's good for the two wheel sets, fine, no problem at all. But this is going to be the home, or the base, the trunk, the tree trunk of everything else that we're going to be that constitutes the bogie. So BR main, first thing we want to do is to make sure the two wheel sets are attached to this as well, but we attach them by selecting, if we just undo the display subtree, so they just jump, so we select the two axle dummies, we select them, there they are, and we link them to BR main. So now that means, now the BR main, we're not rotating or anything like that, it just means that if we move BR main, let's just do that just to show you, then the two wheel sets will move about as well, because they're all connected together. Just put it back in the right place, to BR main. So BR main is going to be the point at which is the point which attaches the bogie to the correct attachment point on the carriage, and that's what trains does. That it does all the necessary for that. So if we display the subtree, now we see, look, we've got BR main is at the root, and then indented is BR axle 02, and then everything which is attached to BR axle 02, which means it's going to rotate, and then we've got BR axle 01 and everything that's attached to that, and then we've got all the rest of the mesh. So if we select those, you can see here it's all the rest of the mesh which constitutes the bogie, all the bits that don't rotate. Okay, so what we need to do with those is link them to BR main. Okay, so now if we go back to, if we select BR main, remember before when I moved it, it was just the two wheel sets that moved along with their attachment dummy. Now the whole lot should move. There we go. So that is now, it's not grouped together or anything, it's linked together. Let's just put that back to where it was. And that is the point, the attachment point on the carriage will be the one that this file, this train component, as it's listed in the in trains, that's what that will be looking for, that train component, and that's what you attach it to using the config of the bogie. Tell it to the config of the carriage, you tell it to attach at, let's go back to that. In fact, let's do it easier than that. Let's just go into trains assets again, and let's go back to that compo. So what will happen is, once you have this exported as a carriage, and one of the dependencies will be that bogie which I was showing you, and in the carriages config file you'll tell it that at a bogie 1 you attach this bogie using its main dummy in order to do so. And if we just go back to the and you tell it to do the same over there, so you just load one copy of the bogie into the content manager, and that is then used repeatedly by this carriage, or used twice by this carriage, and that gives it the position. Now I hope that answers the question. That's a fairly straightforward action when you're making carriages, that you make the bogies separately and they're loaded separately, and it's the same for any piece of rolling stock that you're making for trains. And if, just to give you an idea here, let me just see what I can show you. Well, this is some of the we don't want to save any of that. This is just some that I'm working on at the moment. This is the at Barra class, or Badmintons. And if I come up with I think that will come up. Trying to remember if I've got all this version is the one I've got all the attachment points in. So that's the locomotive, and I think I've hidden the attachment points, yes. And so here, just in the same way as with a carriage, you've got, apart from all the other points like limb back, limb front and all the rest of it, and steam and attaching crew and you know, fireman and driver, you've also got 2 attachment points for the bogies. And this has bog 2 and bog 0 and a bog 1 here, which is an invisible bogey. It's just what you need. You have to really do that with a locomotive like this. So that's an invisible bogey, so you can forget about that. You just load up the built-in invisible bogey from N3V Oran. That is the attachment point for my driving wheels, which go in here. It doesn't display very well for some reason on this, but believe me, it's all there. I'll show you in a minute. And then that's for the leading bogey on this locomotive, which is, as I say, is Badminton in its first iteration. Badminton, the first of 4 classes. So I might as well show you those as well while I'm at it. So let's hide these down. Let's get trains up and running. Well, I'll go into the content manager just to show you. This is trains with a new era. And if I just show you on my content installed, and of course here's the all of my models of trains. So if we go up to the Great Western Railway, and these are those carriages that I was showing you. There's a sleeper compo, E38 compo I think it was. And if we were to look at the dependencies, then we would see that that's the coach bogie that it uses. Okay, and that coach bogie is listed as a train component, but it's called by this carriage as one of its dependencies. If we were to look at the config file, here we are. So we've got the door open and door closing, we've got night mode, we've got all the bits, how they attach, the doors, the shadow, and now here are the bogies. Okay, that's for bog 1, bog 0, and that's for bog 1, and there's the two copies of the same bogie used in the carriage. And then we've got all the passenger attachment points and the attachment for a corridor joint at the end, joining piece at the end. So I hope that makes it a little bit clearer, and I will just show you. Let's just go into trains, and I will show you just a little I think. So just giving you a little sneak preview, as it were. This is the first of my new series of locomotives, and it's the 3292 440 Great Western Railway 440 Badminton, the loco that gave the first class its name, and the second one I'm working on at the moment is called Waterford, but it still was of the Badminton class. And then following on from that will be variations, which will be the Atbara class, and then the City class, such as City of Truro, which Skipper has already made years back and is on trains, but I'm going to make one as well. And also then the final version was the Flower class. And you can see here those attachment points have added the front bogie, all of the piece, and the driving bogie there. And just to demonstrate, it really does work. Let's just load it up and we'll select it. I think that's Skipper's one over there. I tried to, and he's got some fantastic textures on it. I tried to simplify mine as much as possible, just because I always try to make such slightly smaller locomotives or models that don't constitute too much on the graphics card. There is an issue here. I've got too much steam coming out from some or whatever it is in the front there. So Bob, my computer tester, has pointed that out and onto it. Yeah, so it's not ready for release yet, but it will be coming out before too long. So there we are. Let's just stop that, and let's just go back to Surveyor, and if we go into the I've just got to try and remember. That's the problem. I would like a much better way of doing this, because I've just got so many. So E38, I think that was the one, wasn't it, that we were looking at in Gmax, and there it is. And it's got two bogies in place. The bogies I showed you separately, and its position there is its corridor, etc. And all ready to form part of a new train about to leave this station. And this station is called St Twinels, and it's going to be eventually it's going to be my new sort of demo layout that I shall use to illustrate all of my models. There's Skippers, City of Truro, just sitting there, and it's got really long platforms. It's looking back. No signalling in yet, precious little else in, but the platforms and the buildings here, most of these buildings I've made fresh for this layout. My idea is a sort of turn of the century, 19th, 20th century terminus. Still some things to do. The glass here isn't as, it needs a little bit of opacity added to it. It's too clear, too clean at the moment. And so this station is meant to be sort of somewhere down in the West Country on the coast. The coast is going to be over here, and so that's going to be St Twinels terminus, and it's going to be a place where long trains, 15 carriage trains bringing the summer visitors, the summer tourists, will arrive, Edwardian period tourists. And there's the loco release. This will be the arrival platform, this will be the departure platform, and those are storage sidings or release sidings in the middle. And there's going to be various jumps. This is only the beginnings of the layout so far, and various signal boxes. These are just placeholders at the moment. I want to make a lot more of those. And over here, what you see here is a line that's branched off from the main line up here, all the way. There's actually another junction further on as well, and you can see I've been experimenting with bits of track. And this will be double track all the way off to the edge of the layout. And there's more to come here, because this is a junction that's going to go off to a place called Bogies, and going back to St Twinels. Here's the line that's going to snake its way down, dropping down, and eventually, so here's St Twinels station up here, and this is going to curve around, and this is going to be a harbour station here, St Twinels Harbour. So lots and lots to do, and lots of new models to make as well, which I'm really looking forward to doing. As for St Twinels itself, the Badmintons and their sister locos are going to fit in very nicely indeed. This is going to be very much the Edwardian era, and I'm able to use John Whelan's Edwardian passengers or late Victorian passengers, so that's going to be great. No passengers on this side, because this is going to be an arrival platform, so they'll all get off here, but the passengers will build up on this platform, the departure platform. And what else can I show you about St Twinels? Well, it's got a little sort of side platform here, little terminus, and this is going to be for a local service. You see, just vaguely sorting out the track at the moment here, and it's going to run round. Oh, by the way, this is a little station building that I've modelled, not released yet, but it's pretty closely based on the one that was used, station that was used for the Titfield Thunderbolt. So there we are, and this is going to be a branch line coming on between St Twynhams and a place called Barafundle, and it connects into the main line, as you can see. So there's no actual place where you can, if you want to, it'll be non-stop through to Barafundle. There won't be another platform on that loop there. So there we are. So that's how I deal with bogies on carriages, and indeed bogies on locomotives. On the tender, for example, the bogie for this is simply a wheel set, and I've got 3 bogie points there, so the same wheel set is just repeated 3 times. So I hope that's been of help. Do post a query if I haven't quite answered the questions that you had about attaching bogies to carriages. I hope I've understood your query, and I hope I've answered it. But this gives you a preview of what's coming up, and long overdue, because it's been quite a few months since I posted up new models and updated my website. So that's all to come. So I'll leave it at that. If you have any queries, as I say, do post them. Give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. I'm trying to re-establish this this channel, having messed up my access to my old one. So do please subscribe. Do switch over from my old one to this one.